all the guards and all the other guys getting their money because they deserve it. But, I mean, my time's coming. They know they got to bring the Brinks truck out. They know that.
Isaiah Thomas said this at the peak of his powers. The unlikely heart and soul of a Celtics team that went all the way to the Eastern Conference Final. An MVP candidate. And standing at all of 5'8", one of the NBA's greatest underdog stories. But just 2 years later, the Brinks truck never showed up. In fact, Isaiah wasn't even in the conversation anymore. Why? He played through a brutal hip injury for his team. He sacrificed his mental health in the middle of a playoff run. He did everything you're taught to do as a professional and a leader. And instead of rewarding him, the NBA gave up on him. Not because of his game, not even because of the injury, but because of his size. Isaiah Thomas was too small to survive failure. And in the NBA, when you don't fit the mold, they don't give you a second chance. They just move on. Isaiah Thomas came into the league with every reason to fail, honestly. Drafted 60th overall, the last pick, by a dysfunctional Sacramento Kings team with no plan, no development structure, and no faith in small guards. This was despite the fact that Isaiah had shown he could do it in college over a 3-year record of excellence. Despite all of this, he performed in the NBA. Double-digit scoring off the bench, constant energy. But no matter how well he played or how beloved he was by the Sacto faithful, he was treated like a replaceable piece. Because guys under 6 feet aren't supposed to lead franchises. So when Sacramento let him walk for nothing, he went to Phoenix. And the story still didn't change.
Way short! 1 second, Thomas ties the game! And we're going to overtime!
Despite averaging 15 points in only 25 minutes of action and carrying the second unit, he was thrown into a weird 3-point guard rotation and ultimately shipped out. Again! Not because he wasn't hooping, but because teams didn't see a future in Isaiah Thomas. Then came Boston. And finally, someone gave him the keys and had the common sense to see what was right in front of them. Brad Stevens built the offense around him, and Isaiah exploded. In 2017, he averaged nearly 29 points a game, led the Celtics to the #1 seed, and finished 5th in MVP voting. The dude was unguardable. He wasn't just proving people wrong. He was rewriting what a lead guard could look like. All of this at 5'8". All of this while still being doubted by half the league. What was even crazier is if you watched Isaiah Thomas, it was almost like he used his lack of height as an advantage. He made the All-Star game. He gave Boston identity. Most of all, he gave that city hope. The entire city was able to rally around an elite underdog story. A guy who was counted out and defied all odds to be the superstar of a working class town like Boston. It seemed too good to be true. And unfortunately in life, when things seem too good to be true, they usually are. Because then came the price of Isaiah's glory and fame. In the middle of a playoff run, Isaiah Thomas tore the labrum in his hip. He was clearly hurt, but he kept playing because he felt that's what leaders do, because his team needed him. Then the coup de grace.
Happy birthday. She would have been 23 today, so everything I do is for her, and she's watching over me, so that's all her.
He dropped 53 in a playoff game after the death of his sister. He literally flew for the funeral, then flew back to play in a playoff game because he believed Boston would take care of him. He said it himself.
I mean, my time's coming. They know they got to bring the Brinks truck out. They know that.
But instead, they traded him for Kyrie Irving.
What?
While he was injured, while he was still giving them everything he had left. And that's when the clock started ticking. Because in the NBA, when you're 5'8" with a damaged hip, You don't get the benefit of the doubt. You don't get a second chance. If you're Boston on the business sense, it's a no-brainer. You have to go for Kyrie Irving. But on the other side of it, you had this guy who had given you everything, sacrificed everything, and now you traded him as if he was damaged goods. You gave up on him. You abandoned him when he needed you most. And sadly, after Boston, it was a slow fade. Cavs, Lakers, Nuggets, Wizards, Pelicans, Hornets, short-term contracts, 10-day deals, no stability, no belief, but most of all, no goddamn respect. Isaiah Thomas had given the league everything, and the moment his body gave out, it was over because he was too small to survive failure. Let's get that right. And in a league that values length, upside, and the prototype, Isaiah Thomas was never gonna fit in. The dude still averaged 14 points a game for Cleveland after everything and was still traded for a bag of chips. So despite all of his physical characteristics, the guy has been an elite scorer whenever he's gotten on an NBA floor. He has defied every expectation. And while we claim in sports that we love these kind of underdog stories, the truth is we all have our made up stereotypes in our head of what an athlete should look like. Isaiah Thomas was not a perfect player. He was never built for longevity. And yeah, perhaps once the injury hit, the doubts were fair. But here's what isn't fair. That he gave the league everything and got nothing back. That a 6'8" guard with the same numbers or much worse gets years of chances. But when Isaiah Thomas slipped, the door slammed shut. No rehab runway, no we believe in you, just silence. Isaiah Thomas didn't fail the NBA. The NBA abandoned him. And maybe NBA players should use Isaiah's story as a cautionary tale. Don't sacrifice everything for a company that only sees you for the numbers you provide. Thanks for watching, G. If you like underdog stories but one with an actual happy ending, come check out how Nike had a chance to sign both Nikola Jokic and Stephen Curry but ended up fumbling both and costing themselves billions in the process.